Peace, love, and life, family. I am Picasso Cognizance. This is Resolute Fathers. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend about Resolute Fathers. And also get the book, Who's the Daddy? It is on Amazon. Verywellfamily.com. This is where I'll be reading from. What dads need to know about how child support works. Both parents have the responsibility to support their children financially. When a divorce occurs and one parent has physical custody of the children, that parent's responsibility is fulfilled by being the custodial parent. The other parent then makes a child support payment to fulfill their non-custodial parent financial responsibilities. In most cases of joint custody, the amount of child support each parent is required to pay is normally calculated by the court. It takes into account the percentage that each parent contributes to the couple's joint income, as well as the percentage of time each parent has physical custody of the children. The obligation to support a child is not conditioned by marriage. If you are a parent, you have a responsibility to financially support any child that you parent. Duh, we know that. Your parental responsibilities are legally determined in one of two ways. You acknowledge that you are a parent by welcoming your child into your home and caring for them as your own. Your parentage is established by a paternity test. Okay? In some cases, such as when the child's mother receives public assistance, any child support paid by the father will go directly toward the state, where it is then split with the federal government. Let me read this again. In some cases, such as when the child's mother received public assistance, any child support paid by the father will go directly toward the state, where it is then split with the federal government. The government may also seek back payments from the father to reimburse them for any assistance payments that were paid to the mother prior to intercepting the child support. I told you. The feds, they get 66% and the state gets 34%. Okay? A stepfather's financial liability. Stepfathers are not usually financially liable for child support. The exception is when a stepfather legally adopts a child, in which case he becomes liable for financially supporting the child. Each state in the United States is required by federal law to establish guidelines that are used to calculate child support due from parents. These amounts are largely based on their income and expenses. Individual states have a fair amount discretion in setting these guidelines. The court will consider several factors such as a child's standard of living prior to divorce, a child's specific needs, the resources of custodial parent, and the non-custodial parent's ability to pay. In most states, judges are allowed wide discretion in setting these payments. It is important for a non-custodial father to provide information to the court up front to make the payments fair. Okay, now modifying child support payments. While it depends on the judge and the circumstances, a child support payment is usually not reduced if a father quits a full-time job and returns to school. If a father becomes unemployed and then takes a lower paying job, a reconsideration of the amount of child support due might be appropriate. Only the court can change a mandated child support payment. A parent's request for modification must be submitted to a judge. If both parents agree on a change, it is usually a simple process. If parents do not agree, the request will be submitted by a family law attorney for a hearing. Now, if y'all want to know how to do a modification, join Resolute Fathers Patreon. Okay? The parent who wants to make a change over the other's objection has the burden to show what has changed and why a different amount. Higher law should be required. Okay, now withholding child support. A common complaint of non-custodial fathers is that their ex refuses to honor custody or visitation orders. In this situation, there is a temptation to withhold child support, but this is not allowed. If your ex is not abiding by the custody decree by providing visitations as required, you will need to go back to court to enforce the court order. You have an obligation to financially support your children regardless of any visitation issues. So they don't even care about that. If you seeing your child, not seeing your child, they still want that money. Okay, so just be mindful of that. Consequences of non-payment. Not staying current on your child support obligations can be a major problem. You are inviting legal involvement in your life and finances if you do not live up to your mandated child support obligations. So family, you already know why they so, own this, because they getting their cut. We already know this. So, and you also have to be mindful, right? In the fiscal year in 2020, the child support program collected $34.9 billion. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, okay? That's why it's consequences of non-payment. All right. Falling behind on child support can also hurt your credibility with the court and state enforcement officials. The damaged relationship can make it more difficult to make changes to your parenting plan, your custody arrangements, or other aspects of the legal relationship with your kids and your former spouse. The court order entered as a part of your divorce and custody process defines the amount and payment schedule, as well as other conditions that might lead to recalibrating your commitments. In some cases, these conditions will prescribe how much of a sustainable increase in your salary could be added to your support obligations, or what you will be allowed to do with a cash windfall, such as inheritance or insurance settlement. Now, failing to meet the child support schedule is seen as defying an order of the court. Possible consequences include, now listen to these consequences: short-term jail time, garnishment of your wages, interception of your tax refund, seizure of your property, suspension of your business and/or driver's license. You hear that? Garnishment is one of the most difficult consequences, as it involves your employer holding back some, most, or all of your income and remitting it to the state. If your back pay support obligations involve your employer, you could experience negative consequences at work. Title III of the Federal Consumer Credit Protection Act prohibits an employer from firing an employee for having a garnishment for any single indebtedness. However, you could still get in trouble with your employer if you have multiple garnishments behind child support, including back taxes or other debts. If you are having difficulty meeting your child support obligations, you might consider creating a more realistic budget, reducing your expenses, finding less expensive housing, getting a cheaper car, or negotiating with creditors to lower your monthly debt obligation payments. Now, this is crazy. So they want you to straight live poor and give them your money, family. Are y'all paying attention to this, man? Hey, look, get the system out of your business, man. And you and the other parent need to co-parent. You feel what I'm saying? And just take care of your responsibility. Because these folks want you to live poor while they live filthy rich. Be mindful of what's going on, man. I'm telling you straight up, man. Make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend about Resolute Fathers. Get the book, Who's the Daddy? It is on Amazon, family. Share this channel. Peace, love, and light. I'm out.